So the German brand Imotana is a brand that basically gives you a completely custom fit experience based on some 3D scans of your feet. And in today's video, we're gonna go through all of the features of their laceless DNA model and see actually, number one, does it fit your foot customized? And number two, is it even worth paying a little bit extra for this type of customization? Let's jump into the unbagging experience. So these were sent to me by Imotana. Full disclosure, they do not get to look at the video, nor do they get any say on what I actually say in the video. Because these are laceless, I'm gonna guess that they are gonna get a little bit of a lower rating because I'm not a laceless fan. That being said, thank you very much to Imotana for sending me these out. Sending these to me. Can't speak English. Love that. Hashtag play as you are. We'll get into that in just a second. Now, Imotana is known in Germany mostly, and in some places in Austria and a couple other that have a few big profile clients in the Bundesliga. Whoa, those are loud. Hello, look at that. Ombre pink to purple to blue to this like teal to white. Very, very streamlined looking. I don't actually mind those. They're a little bit wonky looking. They're very predator edge, or not predator edge, mutator looking in my opinion. Obviously without the spikes, and instead they've got this spider web grip texturing on the forefoot area. But yeah, decent looking football boots. They are definitely not the lightest on the market. So if you're somebody who's looking for the lightest laceless boot on the market, these are definitely not the ones to go for. Full disclosure, as I'm looking at these pretty closely, as I mentioned before, I didn't actually put a custom order in with Imotana. They just messaged me and said they'd love to send me some football boots. And so whether they still have my measurements from 2021 when I did the scan, I'm not sure, but these boots look a little bit like they've been worn a couple times or potentially tested on, which is fine by me. I don't really mind wearing used football boots, but I think it would have been cool to actually know whether that was the case or not. But regardless, these look pretty sweet, if I'm honest. I think the custom colorway is really cool. It's something that you can obviously opt for if you are designing your own pair of the Imotana DNAs. These are obviously the laceless construction, which you can opt for as well. And they're really designed for that custom, snug, comfortable, and performance-driven fit. Obviously, with a laceless construction, you're going to get a lot of the overstretching downsides of potentially having some issues around the ankle area and the lateral stability. That being said, the lateral piece is pretty structured, if I'm honest. That's not a super soft material here in the midfoot, which means because it goes up quite a significant part of your foot, my guess is that the lockdown is actually going to be not horrible for a laceless football boot. Do I think it's going to be as good as the Tequila laceless? Probably not. That comes down a lot to the collar area in general, but we will see with some in the playtest part of this video. So the VeriFit app is actually the 3D scanning app that they use. And essentially what you do is, if this is my foot, I basically stand up and I go like that all around my foot, and it makes this really interesting 3D scan of my foot, including the length, the width measurements, and all of the little nooks and crannies. And the idea, I guess, is that you basically have a custom mold made in the Imotana database somewhere, and then because they are made in Indonesia, they basically send those over, and then they can create either the custom mold for you, or they create a mold that's very similar to a lot of different foot shapes. Presumably, there's also the option that they have, let's say, a size 9 US or a 27 centimeters ish, and they do 6 different variations of that 27 centimeters in terms of the forefoot width and the midfoot width and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a whole lot of different ways you could accomplish sort of the custom feel and fit, but I would be shocked if they actually were making a individual mold for every single person that ordered a pair of Imotana boots. That being said, Imotana is a company that isn't very big. It's reasonably sized in Germany, but not very many people other than myself and maybe a few other reviewers actually know the brand exists. The majority of consumers out there, including yourself watching this, might be like, I have never heard of that brand. Well, fair enough, they're pretty small. But their boots actually have seemingly lasted quite a decent amount of time, given that I ordered my first pair several years ago, or got my first pair in several years ago, and now they still exist, and they've got multiple different silos now, and it's pretty cool in my opinion. So the 3D scanning technology, obviously you get, or supposedly get, a perfect fit. Boots are made out of knit and a mesh-based synthetic material. This is definitely not the softest knit on the market. I do like this grip element though. It is very, very similar to the Skechers SKX. So there you go. Very, very similar to this kind of extra texturing on the SKX. I would imagine it's pretty much the same material that's sort of heat pressed or kind of melted into the upper material, which looks to be a mesh-based synthetic. It's kind of a weave material. My guess is these are gonna fit pretty good, but they're gonna be a lot thicker than other types of knit boots on the market, or at least mesh-based synthetic boots on the market. They're also not very lightweight, so as I said before, just make sure that they fit you really well, and then figure out whether it's actually the silo and the type of boot you want. But I'm actually quite excited to figure out whether or not these are gonna fit me really well, whether Imotana kept all of my measurements and designed these for me, or whether this is just sort of one of their off-the-shelf pairs that they just had laying around. We will probably discover that in the on-feet portion in the playtest. So without further ado, let's hop on pitch. All right, guys, welcome to the field. Yes, the field. Laceless DNA here from Imotana. These worry me quite a bit, actually. I don't know if I'm going to get through the whole playtest. I am very much not a laceless football boot guy, but here we are. We are going to playtest these because, yeah, just because. I'm going to imagine they're going to fit almost identically to the laced version, which I actually just got done filming. And there's probably going to be a lot of similar messages. Yeah, okay, so these fit basically identically to those, just without some of the little lace bite situations that you got here on that little seam between the knit and the knit and the mesh-based synthetic material / knit. I'm not really sure. Imotana doesn't really have a ton of information about their boots on their website, but other than really, really going into these are custom to your feet, no size needed, which is cool. Again, really awesome concept, but I'm just not sure how these are gonna perform in terms of being laceless and stuff, because I am not a person who enjoys laceless football boots. But to be honest, these actually don't feel that bad, but let's kind of get into a little bit, a little bit more of aggressive traction and movement. You know what these remind me of though? Is very much that blue and electric green and black pair of Predator, what were they called? Mutators? Predator Freak Laceless. So right here, oh, that is unfortunate. 2 fingers, can we go 3 fingers? Yeah, that's gonna be a freaking problem. But I will say, the Laceless, for whatever reason, oh no, that's about the same shape. I was gonna say the Laceless actually feels better straight out of the box. It's probably because they're not as tight around my midfoot, but yeah. Already, you know, again, comfy as you get in, but let's see how the lockdown is once we get into more aggressive traction movements. Short synopsis of the laced video, if you didn't see that one already, go check that one out, because that one will probably come out before this one will. Is that I really like the idea of a fully custom fit to you kind of football boot, you know, the no size needed type of philosophy. But I think my thesis was essentially, I would rather Imotana raise their price to about $350 and create a better quality material football boot than try and stick to that let's say 225 to 275 window with materials that aren't as good, but putting all that extra cash into the R&D of like creating a new football boot for every person. That's my philosophy. I think if you're gonna do the custom thing, you should do it properly. And although these actually look really sick, I gotta be honest, this colorway is actually super clean. I just don't think these boots are up to par in terms of like top end material. They feel kind of like a takedown, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing, right? Takedown models can be actually really awesome and really fun to wear, but I do think if you're going to command that type of price, I just think, you know, it's going to be one of those situations where you kind of have to evaluate to yourself, right? Like, are you going to pay $250, $300 for a pair of Imotanas, or are you going to buy a pair of whatever? Because there's so many other options now on the market. Okay, but from a technical perspective, touch on the ball is pretty clean, to be honest. I actually think the laceless, dare I say, I like the laceless touch almost a little bit better, just because there's no lace bite and it feels really clean, no distractions. That's my kind of issue with laceless boots, is I actually really don't like laceless boots from a performance perspective, because I always get, when I'm shooting, weird like movement. I'll show you guys over there, but that's my issue with laceless boots. However, the thing that I am annoyed about is that I love how laceless boots fit and feel on feet, because there's no distractions. It's very like, let's see, oh damn, I can't get that. It's very fluid. They feel really clean on ball. Like I love the idea, but they just shouldn't exist, because they're just not good enough from a performance perspective. And you see that reflected even in the Imotana website. I'll have Kelvin put up some photos of like their endorsed athletes. I'm almost positive, when I checked not too long ago, thank you, Kelvin, I will literally, not a single one of their pro players is wearing the laceless model. And again, it's like, why? Like, I get it, the laceless and the laced model, I just did an extra one there, whatever. The laceless and the laced model are the exact same football boot. And so all they did was just not put lace holes and laces in these. But it's like, if none of your pro play, like, why do a laceless model? I know they look good, like they look so sexy and nice, but it's not even worth it, man. And despite my meanderings and sort of frustrations about the fact that these are laceless and they shouldn't exist necessarily, at least in my opinion, the shape of these boots is actually pretty good. Like, despite the materials not being super high quality, the shape of the boot actually fits me remarkably well. And you might be in the comment section like, hey, dumbass, these are custom football boots. What are you talking about? As I said before, Imotana didn't give me any indication that these were actually like Noah Cavanaugh fit customs. And so I'm not actually sure if these are fit to the last that I had with the Invader, which was a totally different material. I will say they have improved it from the Invader, which is always good. Ooh, don't hit the camera. Which is always good from a iteration standpoint. The Invader had like zero structure to it, and now I think they went the opposite direction. So now they have like almost too much structure. Here we go. Yes, there it is. Nice. So shape, very good. Heel area, what's crazy, and this is how bad the Puma Future 8 is. This is a laceless football boot that nobody knows about, pretty much. And these have more lockdown than the Puma Future 8. Oh, I want to flip off the camera. I hate the Puma Future. All right, over to the right side, which is technically my weak foot, but we will see if that actually pans out. Sometimes my right foot just is on one, which is cool. Always fun. Nice, that's good. I think I might like this one better than the laced model. That's freaking crazy. I never would have thought I would say that. Never would have thought I would say that. I think it's just more, wow, hello. I think it's just a more enjoyable playing experience. And because of the structure of the upper, I think it actually suits a laceless, oh, get that whip around. Let's do one more. Because it's got a pretty structured upper, it actually suits the laceless vibe, where even though it might take a little bit more break-in time potentially, then wrap. Ah, you stupid son of a gun. That was way too much. Okay, anyway, frustrations aside, Yeah, I think this upper actually suits a laceless construction better than the laced model does, which is kind of wild because I'm not a laceless guy, but that's kind of fun. That's good to know. Right, here we go. See if I can get it wrapped around. Oh, yeah, was nailing those shots with the laced model, which again is not a boot thing. It's a me thing. It's a performance thing. And yeah, to be honest, I think if this boot had a little bit of a nicer knit material, yeah, there it is. Oh, much better shape. If this boot had something in just a little more tension in the knit, in the middle area here, like if they took hypo knit out of the laceless Tequila, that sort of the tension out of that, they would have a very dangerous football boot. Oh, Cavanaugh, hit your target, man. They would have a very, very dangerous football boot, in my opinion, because I think laceless boots are really hard to get right, because what happens is you go for a general, it's constructed with a general last. So whatever the brand's like 9 US looks like. And again, I'm speaking for myself. So a 9 US, and they make the general last in the shape of the boot, right? And so when you have a shape of a boot, but they make it the same material as the laced model, oftentimes you get a material that's really soft and amazing, which is great for a laced model because you get the lockdown from the laces, but with the laceless boot, it totally falls apart. With the Tequila, what they did was they added a collar that was really tight, and so it sort of like suctioned your foot inside. It wasn't perfect. By all means, it's not perfect, but the laceless Tequila was really unique in that way. This boot is probably not great as a laced model, but because of the structure of this mesh-based kind of synthetic knit material that they've got here, this hybrid that they've got with this upper, the laceless construction actually works, especially because they're doing like a, you know, there's no sizing, right? It's all like custom to your size. You add a pair of WeFoot insoles, WeFoot grip socks in here, and man, dude, you have a laceless model that actually performs kind of well. Oh, that was poor, but you get the idea, whatever. And I'm actually like, for the first time, other than the Tequila, I'm like really coming around to a pair of laceless football boots. I think if they were to improve the knit and get rid of this dead space, or even put like a little lace like right across the top of the ankle, dude, this would be like very fun to play in. Okay, we'll go over this in the conclusion as well, but here's what I'm kind of thinking. And I have just one more drill to do, and then we'll get into some free kicks and the crossbar challenge per usual. Here's my conclusion as I go through this drill is, I think if you were to add a, let's go, bang, nice, love that, near post. Low shot near post, especially cutting in as a winger. And if you whip, like Rafinha scores so many of those. CR7 scored a bunch of those, like the cut in near post. Messi, same thing. Okay, so if Imotana is watching this, which I am gonna assume they are because they did send me the boots to like review and stuff. If you're thinking, oh, a little more wrap on that. If you're thinking, how do we improve this boot? I would honestly say, keep the upper as is, do a better knit, a much higher quality knit material. I'm happy to help you with that. I do consulting, hit me up. Do a better heel, and maybe make, nice, maybe make an artificial ground, an AG stud pattern with conical studs. Those three things, and this laceless football boot, even more than your laced model, is gonna be better, honestly. The reason I say the heel is also because if it's a laceless football boot, I think if you did a heel that was more similar to, like you've got the external heel counter, which is awesome. So you actually have quite a bit of flexibility here in this area to do a lot better with that heel padding. And I think higher quality heel padding, maybe add a little bit of grip or something on the heel padding, and you would create something that is actually really unique in the market. And I think that your laced boot is like a pretty, love that. The laced boot is, to be honest, kind of a shitty attempt at a control boot, whereas these are actually unique. And not a lot of people have something like this. Like, this reminds me of that Predator Freak, which I actually wore in 2021 before I got injured. It was once you broke it in, dude, yes. It was actually quite a comfortable football boot. And although I'm not a huge fan necessarily of those grip elements, because those grip elements were like kind of a lot, it was like claws and they always fell off, I actually really like, so the grip element on these is a lot more manageable, and similar to the SKX, I actually really like that precision strike control. The precision strike control, can't speak English today. It's one of those things that is really manageable, and oh, that was such a good hit. Wow, that came off my foot well. It's something unique, and I actually really have enjoyed wearing these. And I literally thought this was, like, I honestly wrote these off. As soon as I got them in the mail, I was like, okay, a laceless boot that's the same thing as your laced boot. Okay, the laced boot's probably gonna be meh, and or I don't know, maybe it's okay. And these are just gonna be absolutely shocking, but it's actually the other way around. I think now trying these on and the sensation that these give me as a laceless boot and the way that they feel so seamless, I would way rather wear these than the laced model, believe it or not. And of course, per usual, left cheek, right cheek, left cheek, right cheek. Great song, T-Pain, one of the GOATs. All right, here we go. We're going left foot first. Bang. Yes. Get in. That was very satisfying. I will live with that. All right, right foot. Here we go. I just wanted to absolutely smash that ball. Okay. Right foot. It's all right. Conclusion time. Let's rock and roll. All right, conclusion time on the DNA Laceless. I am genuinely surprised by these. I think these, with the changes that I would make, and again, Imotana, if you're listening to this, I would highly recommend, let's have a conversation about some consulting stuff, because I think there are some things that I don't want to talk about in this video that I think could be really helpful for you guys. This boot is super unique, and I didn't think that I would say that, but I have no hot spots anywhere on the boot. And I think this area here could use a little bit of kind of suctioning in. That will come with narrowing the heel area, making the heel padding a lot higher quality. One of the things that I mentioned on the lace model is, if you can see here, it looks really padded and nice and soft. It condenses almost instantaneously, so it actually doesn't feel as padded as it looks, which is just kind of annoying, because I think if you were to actually put proper padding back there, it would actually be like a really fun wearable heel area. Remarkably, I don't slip almost at all in these. Part of it could be because I'm wearing grip socks, but also just because of the way that this is constructed with a little bit higher, it goes a little bit higher up the ankle while still not being like a high cut football boot. I don't know, man. I'm actually really surprised and like pleasantly surprised by these boots. They fit really well. And yes, they could be a totally custom pair for me. Again, I just don't know, and I'm not gonna judge it based on that. But just as a product, I think there is so much potential in a boot like this, even over the laced model. I think the DNA, I think you just go DNA is a laced boot. And that also fits kind of the thesis of DNA, right? It's like, it's DNA, it's personal to you, and it's like, it's the perfect fit, and you don't even need laces because it's so like with your foot, you know, like, I'm being super sarcastic there, but like also kind of serious. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. And I love the way it looks, by the way. I think this colorway is sick. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna really enjoy playing in these. I think I will wear these a lot more than I'll wear the laced model. And I don't even know if I'm gonna do a laced model 1 month review, because I just didn't find those to be very enjoyable to wear. Whereas the laceless feel, it's just amazing. You just take laceless out of the conversation and they're just like, you put them on and they're just like, oh, they fit so good and they're so fun. I just think there's a couple things you need to change. So that's the conclusion.
Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you are interested, Imotana ships worldwide, I'm pretty sure. So don't stress about where you are in the world. Just go on their website. You got to download the VeriFit app. And I think that's what it's called, VeriFit. Yeah, it's spelled kind of weird. And you do the 3D scanning, and then that's a thing. So very fun. This was a really enjoyable review for me because as I said in the unboxing of this, or the unbagging, if you will, this was a boot that I had kind of written off. Like, I wasn't really stoked about it, and I was like, whatever. It's a laceless football boot. I never really like these, and most laceless boots on the market are kind of shit. These are not, and that's really cool. So congratulations, Imotana. Well done. And I look forward to hopefully working with you guys in the future. And for those of you watching this and who are interested in a pair, you just go to their website and make sure you translate it because it's all in German. So, but yeah, should be able to find your size. Or not your size, but you should be able to do that whole situation pretty easily. Alrighty, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, be awesome. Take care. I'll see y'all in the next video.